Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today I'm going to continue going through my 100 Beyond the 100 countdown, and we're doing games 140 through 131 today. Some good games. I mean, they're all good games, so that's what you get. But good games, just not quite top 100 worthy, in my opinion. So enough of that. Let's talk about games because that's why we're all here. All right, my number 140 is Lewis and Clark, The Expedition. Now, last episode, I talked about the dice version of this, which is the Discoveries, the journals of Lewis and Clark. Lewis, not Lois, it's not Superman. And this is effectively, it's a slow race game. But the cool thing about this game is you are using these cards in multiple ways. So I think I'm pulling up a card. Yeah. So if you see this picture, these people in their arty pictures. Let me find a better picture. Nope, not a good picture. Anyway, it's got some worker placement. We'll start with that first. There's a bunch of Native Americans that you can use. They're all shared. So you can go and you can recruit these Native Americans and they can come to you. And then when you use them, other people can then go and get them to use for their purposes. And what you're doing is you're going to be going to these different locations, trying to collect different resources and stuff like that. And you're also playing these cards. And the cards are going to give you special things that you can do as well. But they're also going to have like symbols up at the top here that when you play and for every other symbol, you get some stuff. You can up their power by placing a Native American on them. Sometimes you can tuck a card under another card, and that'll make it a little bit more powerful. Just a really fun game. It's a slow race. It may go on a little longer than I'd like, but I do enjoy it still. So that's number 140. Lewis and Clark, The Expedition. Number 139 is a game from What's Your Game called Railroad Revolution. And this is, a railroad game. But what you're doing is you are trying to basically build track to move across this board to set up trading posts in these different cities. You can kind of see the board here. It's going to cost different amounts of money to build on some of these black areas because that's mountains. So you got to pay some extra money. Then when you set up, first player there will get to build, get a bonus, but everyone who's there, can build as well. Then you're also trying to build up the Western Union line down here to score extra points. They're going to give you extra ways to score resources and do all that thing, convert resources. And then on this track here, this is going to help you score points for Western Unions, being at trading posts. And I forget what that one is. I can't see the top there. 5 points for every railroad. So you're just trying to do all of this thing, also moving up tracks. There's some deals you can make here that are going to give you some extra abilities. As far as what your games go, this one's a little more on the simpler side, but that doesn't mean it's simple by any stretch of the imagination. It's still a good game. It's crunchy. It's thanky, and I enjoy it. So that's my number 139, Railroad Revolution. Number 138 is a game that we've had in the collection for a minute, and it is Dice Forge. And this is a game where you're basically upgrading dice. Every player has 2 dice, and they're going to be basically doing one of 2 things on your turn. You're going to either move your little pawn to one of the cards spaces that are on the board, the worker placement spaces here, and you're going to pay resources from your player board here to buy the card. So see, you got player board with some resources. You're either going to spend the red resource or the blue resource and take the appropriate card. This is the red side. This is the blue side. Cards are going to give you extra points. They may give you extra die faces, all that kind of thing. Or if you don't want to do that, you're going to buy a die face. And you're going to be upgrading your dice. You can kind of see here, this is gold, and then there's points. You're going to be upgrading these different die faces, so when you roll, it's going to produce different resources. There are some that are a little bit more interactive. They'll let you steal from people. I like to just do the ones where I can get a bunch of points and resources for my own because I don't like to attack people. But yeah, it's just a ton of fun. It's simple. It's lightning fast. The art is fantastic. There's even a card, my favorite card in the game. You can buy this hammer So every time you collect gold, instead of putting it on your track, you can use the gold to build the hammer, which is pretty cool. Gives you points. Really fun game. Not one that I play a ton anymore. I think I might have played it out, but I enjoy it. It has an expansion. I don't really like the expansion that much. It's not necessary. It doesn't need it. Base game, just fine for me. So fantastic game. Just a little outside the 100 because I think I played it too much. So that's my 138. Dice Forge. Number 137 is a game that everybody likes more than me, and that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to like every game, and that is Scythe. And this is a Stonemaier classic where you're basically moving these mechs around the board and these little workers around the board, trying to get resources so you can build, you can level up, maybe do a little bit of that. Because this is the one to start there. The first player to, or as you accomplish goals, you're going to be getting stars out on the board. You can see them up there in the corner. The first player to so many stars wins the game. There's also going to be some other tracks. There's some friendship tracks. There's some quests you can do. You're trying to level up your player board. You're trying to up the more mechs you get out on the board, the more special powers you're going to get. Tons of cool things here. I think the combat's kind of arbitrary, not necessary. You have to do it because you get a star. Otherwise, who cares? The way that you can carry resources around with you because they just live on a hex. They're not yours. So if you have a person on that hex, then they're yours. But if not, anybody can have them. So that's another reason why you kind of fight. It's actually a pretty simple game. It has a heavy rule set. I have to relearn it every time, which is kind of obnoxious, which is why I don't play it as much. But I do like it, and I will gladly play it. I'm still working my way through Rise of Fenris. I haven't finished it all the way. I don't know. I don't really have a ton of desire to come back to it. So anyway, that's my number 137, Scythe. Number 136 is the original Clank, a deck building game. Now, I love Legacy. I'm not sure if that's on my list. It probably is. I should have looked at that beforehand. I love Legacy. I've played Space. They're all solid. So if you want to jump into, except for Catacombs, I don't love that, but I'm in the minority. If you want to play Clank, I would recommend grabbing one of these and just playing it and having a good time. But in Clank, deck building games, you start out with crappy cards. You're going to be buying new cards from the market. And ultimately what you're trying to do in this game, which makes it a little bit different, is you're using cards to move around this map. And what you're trying to do on this map is you're trying to get to an artifact. And there are different areas on the board. Let me see if I can see this little onk here. There are different areas on the board that have artifacts. And once you get an artifact, then you need to get above ground to score it. Because there's that little green line there. I'm pointing to it like you can see it. But there's a green line. Anything below ground, if you die, because eventually you'll get too much Clank and you'll die. Because every time you take an artifact, that dragon gets angry. A whole bunch of things make the dragon angry. The more the dragon gets angry, the more stuff gets pulled out of a cube. And you got to get all your points, get above the ground. And then if you die, it's okay. But if you can get all the way out, you get some extra points. But if you don't have an artifact, you can't score any points. So you're trying to manage all these things while getting fun cards to play to help you along in your journey. Every board does a little bit of different stuff. It may affect like what you're going to do, what kind of things are on the board to hinder your progress. But any of them are fun. I enjoy this game a ton. Deck building is not necessarily my favorite jam, but when you throw a board on it and give me a little bit more to think about, I'm in. So that is my number 136, Clank, a deck building game. 135 is an Uwe Rosenberg game that I haven't played an actual ton. Actually, I've only played it one time. So I'm not going to be able to talk about it a ton, and I'm not going to try. But in this game, what you're doing is you are running a little like farm. And you're going to be doing some worker placement stuff, which is here. You're going to be spending certain numbers of your action cubes to take certain actions on this board. The more action cubes you place down, the better the action. I remember that piece. Then what you're trying to do is you're trying to play these cards in your player board. You're trying to get sheep. You're trying to upgrade so you can move your little farm farther to help you along in your journey. And that's where I'm going to stop talking about it because I don't really remember it a ton. If I played this more, it'd probably be higher. I do know that. I just haven't played it enough to really get a good grasp of it grasp of it, and just all of that. So there's a whole bunch of cards that give you extra scoring opportunities. Ton of stuff going on here. It's a great game. I would love to play it again. We own it, just haven't gotten it off the shelf, which is the story of my life. But Katie talked about it on the podcast. I'm talking about it here. Good game. Number 135, Hallertown. Number 134 is a game that I've been championing for a while, and apparently it's getting a reprint, so there we go. And it's called Dogs of War. And this is, for all intents and purposes, it is a tug-of-war game. You're going to be controlling one of these huge factions of these huge minis, okay, and they're all going to have special abilities. And on your turn, really simple, you're going to play a card that's like a warrior. It's going to have a different strength, which is going to move the battle either to your side, onto your side of the battle, no matter what you play. You're going to place it on one of those tactic cards. You can see the cards that the players are standing on. Whichever side is the farthest along, has the little red thing closest to them, is the winner. That's the game. Now, where it comes into play is as you're putting tokens down, you need to play certain warriors to be able to do that. You can play different cards. They're going to let you betray, jump from one side to another. If you realize you're losing, you can jump to the other side and, sway that side, maybe win over there. You're ultimately trying to collect these different shields. You're trying to move every time a battle wins, the shield moves forward to determine how many points every shield of that color is worth. Then whoever has the most points after 4 or 5 rounds is the winner. It's a really simple game to play. There's negotiation. You can be mean. You can be a jerk. But even if you just play putting it down to move the thing, it's still a good time. So I think it's being reprinted by Shut Up and Sit Down's company. I don't know their name, but I've heard that's who's doing it. So it's been hard to find. If you want it now, you can probably get one for $20 because everybody's got to have the new and hot of everything. So there you go. So that's my number 134, Dogs of War. Number 133 is a game that we've had for a long time, and we bought it because it's cute. When you're buying games at the beginning, boxes grab your attention, and that's what this is. And that is Takinoko. This is a really simple game. On your turn, you're going to be rolling this weather die, and you're going to take one of, I think, 5 different actions. And what you're trying to do basically is you're trying to grow bamboo of certain colors. You're trying to move this panda around to eat different color bamboo. Ultimately, to score these goal cards that you're going to have. And there's different goal cards. There's different color bamboo on the board. And then there's different patterns of tiles. You can see the tiles here in different colors. You're basically trying to just build the board in the way you want, irrigate the tiles so they grow. You have to put those little blue irrigation wood bits there so that you can get from a water source to grow the bamboo. And then move the pan around, move the garden around so he grows stuff, and try to fulfill the points on your goal cards. That's it. Once somebody completes so many goal cards, that's the end of the game. It's a little deeper than that. The weather die jazzes it up a bit. It helps you in an action, may give you an extra action, some other things that are going on. But very fun game. Looks amazing on the table. Everyone I've played it with has had a good time. When you see it, you have a good time, and it's just fun. So that's my number 133, Takinoko. Number 132 is another one that I'm not going to talk a lot about. I played it one time. We have it. Just haven't gotten it out on the shelf. And this is called Corrosion. And this is a game where you're basically these female engineers, and you're trying to build these different machines to basically create like an engine. It's an engine with these revolving gear machines. And you're going to be upgrading pieces. You got to get different things. Things are going to decay out. It might take them a while to activate. A whole bunch more than that. I can't really remember it, so I'm not going to go into it. But the engine building is fun. The card play is interesting. Having all female engineers is cool. They're not something that you see a ton. But hopefully by the next countdown, I'll play this again. And I'll be able to talk about it a little bit more. And it may even move up because I remember I really like this. But because I can't really remember a ton about it, it's hard for me to put it in my top 100 because that should be reserved for games that I know well. I've played a lot and all that. So even without remembering it a ton, other than I know there's a cool gear engine building thing that I enjoy a lot, and that kind of keeps it in the countdown for me. But yeah, I still like it. So that's my number 132, Corrosion. Number 131, and the last one for this section of the countdown is Tricky Tides. Now, I don't know how many people even know this game. It's rated pretty low, which I think is crazy for what this game is. This is a trick-taking pick up and deliver game. And the way that works is everybody's going to have a hand of cards, and they're going to be like a compass. And based on the number and the suit is going to determine which way it's going to let your ship move. And you're going to have to follow suit when you play these cards. So if somebody plays an orange, I have to play an orange card if I can. If I can't, then I can play whatever. Based on the card I play is the direction I can move my ship. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to these different islands, pick up cubes, and then take the appropriate color cubes to other islands to score those points. That's it. Everybody has a specific type of creature. See, there's a whale and a shark of different types of contracts that they want to collect. If they can collect those, they get extra points. There's also those animals that you can put out on the board that if you play the suit of that card, you can move those creatures around and they do an extra thing for you. You don't have to play with those, but they're kind of fun. There's also some events that come into play that really hinder your journey. But yeah, fantastic game. These are the cards. You can kind of see how you're moving here. So the 3 is going to let me move those directions. I love it. It has a cool vibe, doesn't get a ton of love, but it's one that will always be in my collection and one that I really enjoy. So that's my number 131, Tricky Tides. All right, well, that was another 10 of the 100 Beyond the 100. I'm going slowly. I'm trying to nip this in the bud quickly. We're trying to stay up on the podcast. We're trying to do it all, folks. We're trying to do it all. But again, pretty okay. You get what you get for the money that you pay. So there you go. So stay tuned. The next countdown will be 130 through 121. So we're nearing the end of this 100 Beyond the 100. But maybe you saw some games on this one that you enjoy. Are there any games in here that you play that you like? Are there things that you would like to try? Love to hear about it in the comments. You can like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And until next time, I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics. And as always, keep gaming.